It is Friday, November 22nd, 2024, and um I have next week off of work, so I'm looking very much forward to spending that with my family, just like I did last year. Um it's kind of weird to watch the videos from last year and see how um things kind of match up or they don't. Um but as you might have guessed from this video's resolution, I have something to share with you guys, which is kind of surprising considering that I did this not that long ago. Um, but instead of something being half done, I am pleased to announce the completion of a project that you guys have already heard half of. If you do not remember, uh, or if you have no idea, because why would you? It is Symphony Number 3 by Saint-Saëns, which is sometimes known as the Organ Symphony. Uh, when he wrote it, he wrote it in two movements, but there's a really good place to split it into the traditional four movement kind of setup. So that's what I did here. So this file is traditional movement 1, contemporary movement 1 and 2, and the other file is traditional movement 2, contemporary movement 3 and 4. So if that's confusing enough, then great. None of that really matters as far as this is concerned. It just means that there'll be a little bit longer of a break in between, like in the middle. How about that? So, like I said, you guys have already heard this first part. Actually, you've heard half of this first part twice. So, if you guys would like to skip to just the new part, that would be about 18 minutes after I start this. Oh, yeah, okay, one more thing. I tried to eke out every pixel that I could for you guys, but I forgot to do one thing. Where is that? It's there. Ta-da. Okay. Well, that kind of goofs up exactly how I had set this. So, we're doing it live, folks. Yeah, that worked perfectly. Surprisingly. It is very slightly bigger now. Okay. Oh yeah, I was about to start it, but there are a couple things that I want to talk about. So, the reason why I didn't put this all into one file is because it was a pain just putting together the third and fourth movements. And it started to feel like I was back at my job, just, like reviewing things for quality and detail and stuff. So I was like, I'm not doing that again. The other thing that made that difficult is, so in these two different files, I took a different approach to the organ's volume in each of them. In the second movement, the modern second movement, there's not a whole lot of variation in the organ sound, but there are some crescendos and diminuendos. So the way I did that is by working with the swell control to gradually cause more volume or reduce volume. There's also two different registrations. About halfway through the second movement, it switches to a different set of stops. It's very similar, but there is a slightly different sound. So that's something to be aware of. Then in the last movement, there are not any crescendos or diminuendos, but there are a wider range of volumes that you need to do. So for that, I just took the approach of making each one of those different dynamics a different registration, um, which was it was really fun for me. As you guys might know, I happen to know a bit about the technical workings of organs, and and what I this program that I use for this actually does let you um, basically pick out a registration like you would on a real pipe organ. So it's even cooler than that because you get to choose between different sets of stops for different organs, and you can combine them like different eras of organs like Baroque or modern or whatever. It's really cool. I had a lot of fun with that. The problem is that when I combine the files for the last movement, uh, I had to redo all of that, or I had to copy all of them over again because they didn't copy when they transferred, and like I said, it started to feel like I was working at work again, and that's not what I want to do on a Friday evening. So anyway, what else? Oh yeah, so there's a total. If you count the pedal as being a different registration, which is kind of cheating. Um, there are 4 different registrations in the second movement of this. Um, there are 11 different registrations on the organ part in the last movement. 2 of them only get used for 2 chords. There's only 2 chords in the organ part that are listed as mezzo forte. Oh well, I did it anyway. It was fun. That's the part that I did enjoy. Um, what's else? What else? I feel like there was something else I was gonna say. Oh yeah. Um, for those of you who want to put on your critical listening ears for this, um, notice how this is not an organ concerto. This basically just happens to be a symphony that uses the organ as one of its instruments. So, and it's definitely a solo instrument at times, but listen for how the organ balances with the rest of the orchestra. Also, notice how the organ can basically just overpower the entire orchestra if it feels like it. Um, so that's definitely something to listen for. Uh, how he writes it so that the organ is just as much of a supporting instrument as anything else, fully having its own identity but still blending with the group. Um, oh yeah, another thing I was gonna mention this when I showed you guys this first movement originally, but this is probably the most correct you'll hear this first movement played. Um, there's a okay, full disclosure. I love orchestra music, and I love playing in orchestras. Uh, None of the orchestras I have played in, well, the string sections haven't been particularly uh, strict about how they do their offbeat. Like if they have a whole section of like offbeat notes, those tend to end up on the beat one way or another. And I say that with full love. Uh, but since this is a computerized recording, they will be precisely on the offbeats. And it sounds kind of weird. It probably doesn't sound like any recordings that there are of this. So, anyway, I think that's about it for what I wanted to say. So, here we go. Now, I would normally stop the video there, but this stuff only happens when I'm recording this for you guys. The organ did not play the two sections that were piano. Don't ask me why. I don't even want to figure it out right now. But everything else went great. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I guess that's it.